Happy Wednesday, everyone. This is Janice Jimenez, your real estate gal and your business and life coach. This Wednesday, I'm going to on of FFAM. She is the leading expert. Her company is a company that has been around for a little bit, and they are helping people who have problems with their credit, raise their credit score, and delete some of the errors and imperfections that are in your credit by the use of legal way and with the help of their attorneys that are on board in their system. In any case, I want to give you first a big thank you to all of those who have gotten a copy of their book that I just recently had. There it is, that recently got launched in Amazon last March 31st. Thank you so much for those of you who have come out supported this book. Transforming Pain into Purpose is now #1 bestseller in international and Amazon #1 bestseller for that category, which is transformation and spirituality. So again, thank you to those who have gotten their copies, and those who have not, this is not too late. You can text Regal to 26786, Regal to 26786, where you will get my information to download on your phone, a calendar link for you to book 15 minutes of consultation with me, whether it's about their credit, it's about home buying, home selling, and anything that I teach on my business and life coaching platform. This is also a part where you can get a link to get a copy of my book from Amazon. So text Regal to 26786, and they will find my information for that on the link for a 15-minute call to discuss your particular situation on how I can be of service to you. So without further ado, let me bring you Crystal Manticon of FFAM. This is an hour-long recording, so hopefully you guys have your pen and paper ready to take notes, or you're always free to watch the recording at any time. This is also going to be available on my YouTube channel, which is Janice Jimenez, Real Estate Gal. So you can find this recording on YouTube at any time of your convenience, and all the other almost 100 videos there that is going to be helpful for your business life and especially your real estate journey. Again, enjoy watching this video of Janice Jimenez's conversation with Crystal Manticon. Here you go.
Hello, everyone. How are you? I hope you guys are having a good week so far. We're coming through the weekend and it's going to be hot, but please stay hydrated, still stay safe. And hopefully today's broadcast will bring you some good tips on how to go about bringing your score to possibly 700 plus, which is a excellent score. And we can talk about how to improve your current situation. And we're going to hear from Crystal Manticon. Now, she is trying to get on screen with us right now. And she is from Frost Financial Advising and Management, LLC. She is a partner. This company is a partner with Regal Real Estate and Financial Services for our credit repair and restoration, because sometimes we have to set up our clients to be ready when opportunity arises. So I'm going to give Miss Crystal Manticon a chance to introduce herself to you guys, and we can start our conversation right after. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, Jenny.
There you are. I can hear you well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you well now. Sorry.
Okay, good. We had issues earlier, and now I think we seem to be fine now. So, ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful Crystal Manticon, we have a chance to meet each other. I think that was last year in a convention, and we've worked together since. And she's helped a few of my clients regain their credit, right? And we should be ready pretty soon with most of them, right?
Yes, very exciting times. It's a good time to be ready too because of the market right now.
Exactly, exactly. Say, hey, why don't you go ahead and take a little bit of time introducing yourself, who you are, what you do, what this company is. And I already told everybody that you're partners with Real Estate and Financial Services because we only partner with reputable companies and not the run in the mill, hole in the wall kind of credit restoration that at the end of the day really does not do any good. They could be a
Right.
temporary, sometimes it's even illegal. So we only want to make sure we do it the right way. And take the floor, Crystal. Go
Oh,
ahead.
thank you so much, Jenny. Yes, I am the head of credit education and restoration of FAM, FFAM. And we do help people in situations when they have issues with credit. And we also have a student loan division. And sometimes it's important for you to have a payment plan on that mortgage. So we have both in our field, I guess. So basically, what we do is we are big on education. So that's kind of where Janice and I met. Actually, I was teaching. I am big on education, educating people on the best ways that they can improve their credit. So I will give them all of their options on their specific details on their credit report and what they can do. And then on the back end, if they do need help and qualify for our credit restoration program, we have an excellent program that is fairly quick and very aggressive and successful. So yes, what we're doing is using the law in order to remove as much of the negative reporting as possible. And we do so in a very, very nuanced way. So, we're not sitting on our laurels and sending, form letter disputes and things. We are literally going case by case and sending out letters that we make sure that a professional at the credit bureaus and double dip at the creditors will have to process. And so we see a very high success rate. Yeah.
Yes, that's great. And I love the fact that you guys are big on education, right? And so it's not only sales, or trying to get people to sign up with a program because I have had some of my clients that decided they didn't want to go through it, and had some clients that decided they want to go through it. So it's really the client decision based on an educated from an education standpoint, right? It's not
Right.
just like a gap or how important this is to them, what's their goal. So I love the fact that before we go into any of the programs with you, you yourself have a one-on-one client consultation, and you go over with them every single detail of how you go about the process, what their credit report entails, and how much work we're going to be putting in, because it is a partnership, because the client also needs to do their own thing, as well as you guys on your other end also do your own thing. Correct? Do I understand it correctly?
Yes, I emphasize that a lot, actually. It is teamwork. We're all trying to get you to the finish line all at once. And so, if we are doing as much as we can on our end, we want to make sure that you're doing as much as you can on your end because, you know, inch by inch will get you to your goal and help you get into your home mortgage that Denise will help you with.
Yeah. So what's usually our process is when somebody comes to a mortgage broker like myself, we pre-qualify them, and sometimes we want the best rate for you and the best type of program. So sometimes they are very credit score sensitive. So maybe we need a little push, maybe we need a little bit more. So and there will be moments wherein we needed Crystal's help, so we can either eliminate it completely or possibly do things that could raise it to a certain point, right, Crystal?
Yeah. And sometimes it's just
And
the
so
little.
when the client,
Oh, go ahead. Oh, you froze. Have I frozen? I'm not sure. But basically, what I was going to say is that, it is actually sometimes something that I can give advice that the client can do on their own to make it to the finish line. And I'll do that all day. And that is just complimentary. So, so basically, we'll go over on a client's case, um, you know, what factors make up a credit score. Now, the credit score, the formula for a mortgage score, it's going to be different than what formula you're using for an auto loan or for your insurance or for any of those types of things. So your credit score for your mortgage is not necessarily the same for everything. And a lot of people use something like, the Credit Karma scores and think that they're in a
Free
good
credit
place.
scores.com.
Yeah, but we call that the fake-o score in our industry because
Fake O.
fake-o. Yeah, it could be anywhere 100 points above or 100 points below what you would have on a mortgage FICO score. So we have to educate around that. I will go over the 5 main factors that are calculated within a score, and the average person will have 35% of their credit score be their credit history, and the average person would have 30% of their what you owe. 15% would be length of credit history. 10% would be types of accounts you have open, and 10% would be new credit and inquiries. So we would go over all of those factors and see where you are on all of those factors, and if there's anything immediately you can do on your own to go ahead and try to remove or improve some of that that's holding you back. Then I'm happy all day to give free advice. I feel like that's my job. So,
So let's start with a very basic. What's a credit score and what are the scores? What's good score? What's an excellent score? What's a bad score? What's the goal? I mean, and what's the highest? Because some people say, oh, 800, 820, 880. So let's hear it from the expert. What are the actual numbers?
the actual numbers are between 300 and 850. And I've had clients have 850 credit scores. It is possible. It is real. And then I've also had clients, that have had it pretty low in the 400s, and some not even reporting at all. So, credit scores really do run the gamut. And, there have been times where people feel like they're in a really bad spot and they don't feel like they're anywhere near qualifying. But I have good news for you. They actually, made it to their goal and got into a home after, speaking with me, getting advice, doing what they needed to do. As long as you heed the advice, you could be in really good shape and get to your goal soon.
That's good because I, as a partner, would get these updates for my clients and how they're doing on that. And some of them are pretty fast, and some of them, it just depends on how fast also the client is doing their own to-do list, right? So normally it's a set of letters that they need to read and print out and sign and send, right? Is that how it works?
Well, for us, actually, we do that work for them. We would be their limited power of attorney with the bureaus. So we will send out the letters, but we have a lot of to-dos to give to them too. So so there would be like let's say that they don't have enough reporting. Because one of the big things around credit is we've got to continue building positive credit. And if you don't have enough accounts reporting on-time payments, it really isn't gonna go up. It only goes down in that respect. We can remove negative on our side, and we can have your credit improve through that. But we want to improve your credit in every possible avenue. And so if you're not reporting on-time, credit card payments or installment payments, then that, you're not going up as far as you can. So
How different are the credit restoration and credit repair companies? I mean, there's so many of them, and there's also ones that claim that they can make all those bad things go away. So can you go through that and just tell us the difference between those companies that call us for debt, credit, and management services, and some of them are also they wanted to collect money upfront and then they pay off the debt collectors. Can you tell us if that's what you do, that's not what you do, what the differences are for these types of companies?
yes. So I one of the big clues when you hear a credit repair company tell you that we can guarantee that you will be improved by the end of this program, they are not following the law. That is actually illegal for them to do that. So it's not that wouldn't be a company that I would trust. There's also certifications for credit repair. So if they have not gotten the proper certifications, that's not someone you necessarily want to trust either, because if they didn't go so far to get the proper certifications, then they they're not really serious about what they're doing. The FTC has a lot of laws in regards to what we are allowed to say and what we are not allowed to say also. So for instance, I can let a client know that they do have room for improvement and it is possible, but I can't actually tell a client, yes, we can get you to a 740 in 5 months. That would be illegal. There are things that are tells, when you're talking to a credit repair company. There are some companies, even currently, that are very well known that are being sued by consumer protection agencies. So even though they might be the top Google,
Search company.
Yes, company that you see at the top of your search, they may not be the most honest. They're spending money on advertisements. What we do is all by referral. And our referrals usually have some sort of experience, with the type of work that we do. So you'll definitely, I recommend referral-based companies. I recommend asking for their certifications. And if you hear any of those tells, be wary.
So first of all, if they tell you they can increase the score a certain number, that's a tell. And two is they don't have certifications, that's also a tell. And what's the difference between debt consolidation and debt restoration?
Okay. So debt consolidation is different. So that actually, debt consolidation is a company negotiating your debt. When you're doing credit restoration, we actually we don't touch the debt. We can probably tell you how to manage it so that you are able to continue improving rather than, be in a position where you are lowering your credit. There are some things that you could do, for instance, with credit that you think intuitively would help you, because it's something that you would normally say, oh, but I'm paying my debt, right? But unfortunately, it's not so straightforward sometimes, because if, for instance, you're updating the date of last activity on a collection, that actually can hurt you more than help you, even though you're bringing your balance down to zero. But again, I can't tell anyone that they can, not to pay their debt. but I can tell them how it would affect their credit.
That's great. That's great because I've had a lot of people tell me that, and I told them that I don't think that's true. But again, some people just go by with their own decisions, and that's why education comes, very handy with this thing, so they can do a very educated decision whether they want to do the consolidation or the restoration.
Yeah,
So we're gonna go on the. Go ahead. Sorry.
consolidation actually hurts your credit for a time. So it actually would
Yeah.
take people a lot longer to be able to qualify for their mortgages in that case. But sometimes it's what people need. So I have had cases where it was very difficult for people to stay afloat because of their debt. So in that case, I might recommend that they go that route. But it would take more time usually for them to be able to qualify for their mortgage with you.
It's still a case to case basis, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the credit report itself. Let's start with how it's calculated, and then what's the ideal number of credit cards or revolving credit to carry. How heavy is a mortgage and a car account versus the others. Why don't you just go through that with us?
Okay. Well, actually, I'm afraid my phone, because we were planning on doing this on my computer, and I had been on my phone all day giving consultations. So I'm going to grab my cord really quick. Okay. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. So while she does that, I would like to invite everybody to please ask questions. This is very pertinent to you. This is for you. So I'd love for you to voice out your concerns, perhaps an experience in the past that you were not sure of, something that you're not very sure if it's going to affect your credit, something that you think that you might want to do and how that's going to affect your credit. So that's something that you would want to ask questions with while we still have Crystal with us here today. She's a very busy lady. Her company is based out of Texas, but she's very, very good with answering questions, even my questions, because I do reach out to her quite frequently whenever I need some clarifications, because I see credit reports all day long and I can't answer all the questions. So I need to reach out to an expert when it comes to that. So let me bring her back on. Since she's back, here she is.
Thank you. Okay. And can you repeat your last question?
So we were going to go over the actual credit report, how the credit, how heavy the mortgage and the car, and how many, what's the good number of revolving accounts that you can have there, or maybe the balances that you carry on those accounts. So just kind of go through it, with
Of
us.
course. Okay. So basically, there is a balance with the 10% of being how many credit accounts you have. So the sweet spot there would be having 2 to 3 revolving accounts, building positive credit with on-time payments open at any given time. And it would be 2 installment accounts. If you have more than that, that's fine. I don't recommend you close them because, that's not necessarily going to help either, because you want things to stay open longer, right? So you have a longer credit history as well. But the weight of everything, like for a mortgage, when you're applying for a mortgage, there might be more weight to your mortgage history versus your auto history. Maybe you don't have any mortgage history, but your installment accounts would then be more weighted than your revolving. So it's kind of that sort of everybody's credit report is different. It's like a thumbprint, really. They're all slightly different, and so the weights in the formula would be slightly varied. With regard to revolving debts, you asked what is the ideal balances that you want to have. For your ideal balances on your revolving credit utilization, you want to have between 1 and 19% revolving credit utilization. So your balance is at 1 to 19% of your credit limits. And people is zero, why is zero not good? And basically zero is neutral. It's not bad. It's not bad at all to have zero, but it's neutral because remember, your credit report is a snapshot of what's happening right now. So when you have zero, it looks as if you don't maybe use this card. So zero is neutral. 20 to 30% is also neutral. Anything over 30% could be hurting you exponentially. So it increases the pain and horror it can cause. So the best place to have it is at the sweet spot between 1 and 19%. Try never to go over your credit limit either, because that also remains on the report.
Wow, that's eye-opening because a lot of people believe that zeroing all of their accounts would help the credit, but it does, right? Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Trouble hearing you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
1 second. Let me see. Technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry about that, you guys. I hope the viewers can hear us okay. If you can just give me a thumbs up there. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, all right.
Okay, good.
I can. So going back to that, you said zero is really just neutral. It doesn't really do any harm, but neither it does any good.
Well, it's good. It's just that you get a little bonus, if you do have a little tiny balance on there.
So $10, a little bit, you can just do that, right?
Yeah. I 1% because easy, but yeah, even just a small $10 balance, even if it's a $2,000 card would be good.
Okay, because that was a notion that most people believe, to zero and everything out the back to increase the credit score. Another thing that I've noticed is people self-reporting utilities and stuff to the. How is that correct? How true is that?
Yeah, so reporting utilities. Experian about a little over a year ago started to offer a service called Experian Boost, where they are able to report utilities for certain utilities with Experian only. So it only helps with Experian. But it's still good if you need an extra installment account and more history. That is, fine and well. For some people, it doesn't work at all because they are not using one of the banks or they're not using one of the utility companies that Experian has a deal with. But the good news is it's free, so you can always give it a try and just go to Experian Boost on their website and give it a go.
Yeah, just for everybody, from me, it does not.
Oh, right. Unless you do get on Experian Boost, right?
Yeah, it does. But then again, when we calculate your DTI, sometimes it's more hurtful than it's helpful.
Oh, right. So if it's a very high balance, yeah, I understand.
So it will increase that one score, which is for the Experian.
Experian, yeah. But
Okay.
usually you don't want to do that right up against the mortgage loan. You would only want to do that if it gives, because you can, like you said, it can hurt if you're doing it right before your mortgage loan. But if you have many months that you've been reporting on-time payments, sometimes it helps, right?
Crystal, they're saying that we are having feedback. Are you using a phone or speaker or something right next to your laptop?
Let me see. I'm going to try my phone here.
So she just muted herself.
Okay. Okay, I can
It's
hear you. Do you hear me fine? Any more
I can
echo?
hear, but there's still a little bit of echo.
Okay. Try that. Okay.
So are you using separate phone and the computer?
Yeah, I had to use the phone because for some reason the camera wasn't working. And I know you can hear me, but on my phone I can't hear you.
Ah, okay. So
I
we're
don't
gonna
know
have
what's
to.
going on. Let me
Okay.
try.
While you do that, so our next question is going to be, what happens when a consumer closes older accounts? So that will be our next question for her once she fixes that uh, feedback technical difficulty that we're having today. Hopefully, you guys can get some value out of
Okay.
it. If you have any questions, please go ahead and type it on the comment box so we can share it with Crystal. Is that better?
I hear you
No.
now. Yeah.
So the
I had to reset.
last question was what happens when a client closes older accounts?
Right. So when clients close older accounts, unfortunately, it can be very detrimental because your average credit length of history is going down. So it's best to keep those open, even if you're not using it. I had a client today that had an account with a jewelry store, right? And I know you don't always use that account, it's for special occasions with a loved one usually, but essentially, having that, both the history of that card with the many months of on-time payments and credit length, as well as the increased overall credit limit, is very beneficial because then you don't have as far to go when paying down all your revolving cards. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. What's the ideal number of installment accounts? Or do we just say, for example, I have old accounts from 20 years ago, and then you said keep it open, and now there's new cards that offer good, maybe perks. So, and I like to have that type of perks now. I like the airline cards. When you want to start traveling, you'd like to stay on lounge or maybe get some bonus miles. So, what's the best thing to do there? Do I just apply for another one and leave the old ones open, although they're not used, or what do you suggest?
Yes, actually, that would be. You want to make sure that you're not, denied though, because then you get the inquiry without the benefit of having the card, and you don't have the benefit of having, the card adding more on-time payments to your payment history.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. How about people are asking what's the difference between a soft inquiry and a hard inquiry?
Oh, yes. Okay. So a soft inquiry doesn't have a negative effect. It's like promotional offers. It would be like the credit bureaus actually sell your information. So you get a lot of these, insurance offers and things in the mail. Those were actually got received from promotional offers. Those promotional offers were from soft inquiries. But hard inquiries are when you are actually applying for a new card or loan. If you already have a card, sometimes they'll do a soft inquiry that doesn't hurt your credit to get a credit limit increase. But your credit profile. However, hard inquiries can have a negative effect on whichever bureau credit report is being pulled between 3 to 15 points. And that all just depends on the balance of everything.
So when you're shopping for, say, a car and you don't know whether to choose one brand over the another, and each one of them would want to keep pulling the credit, and they tell you, well, it's only a soft pull. How true is that?
It's not true. It's always a hard pull, and the car industry is the worst about that. They'll tell you, "Oh no, we're just pulling your credit once," but then next thing you know, you go to your credit report or your credit karma, if you have that, or whatever it may be that you're using to monitor your credit, and you'll have like 14 different inquiries from that same day with that dealership. I always tell my clients to go to their credit union or their bank to go ahead and get pre-approvals when they're going car shopping, because man, it can really wreak havoc on your credit.
Especially if you're pre-qualifying to buy a home. Please do not do car shopping, any type of shopping. So I have somebody, hello, Miss Dana. She has a comment here and would want us to kind of comment on it and say she tried Experience Boost. Based on her experience, it will hurt your credit score because you have to be consistent reporting your utilities, but once you stop it, it will drop your score. Is this true?
Yes. So if you are not consistent in reporting your utilities, that can hurt you. So only do Experian Boost if you are paying your utilities on time, and you are, when it's currently open, it's more relevant. When it is closed because you moved or whatever it may be, it's no longer as active. So you won't have, it could drop your score if it is no longer reporting, because you no longer have that extra history that's relevant, because open payments and history is more relevant than closed payment history on closed accounts. So yes.
So maybe in the meantime, just leave it alone, right? Because you'll have to be consistently reporting it yourself. And sometimes when you're trying to buy a home, it's not only dependent on one score, but we're actually using the mid FICO, which is the middle of all the three credit bureaus. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if your credit, Equifax is say 800, but the TransUnion and the Experian is 100 points lower than that. We're still going to be using the middle. That's the reason why we use the mid FICO and not just the highest FICO. And just for everyone's information, just speaking on credit scores, when say a husband and wife is on the market to buy homes, we use the lower middle FICO of the two of you when you're married. So when you're trying to boost up one spouse or the other, and if we're going to have to use both of your income, unfortunately, it will be the mid FICO of the lower of the two of you. So just so you guys know, when you get married, your credit scores kind of got married too. Just
Yeah.
an FYI there, right? So
Yeah.
another question: a debt collector has started contacting me about an old debt. Do they have to repay it? It's probably a collection. How long could it be to begin reporting credit, and what could they do about it? What do you think it's going to? I mean, how it's going to affect them long term?
Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of parts to that question. So it depends on what's going on. So, but yes, you do owe the debt. It is still your debt. So I can't, nobody can tell you not to pay your debt. So when a new collection agency is calling to collect a debt, let's say they purchased it from a former creditor. Now that creditor no longer owns the debt. The debt is owned by this new collection company. If they just started calling you, it's the time to call them. It is the time to call them, because they have to wait a certain amount of time before they report it to the bureaus. It's usually about 30 days. So if you settle that debt with them, and just a little clue is they did pay pennies on the dollar. So sometimes you can negotiate something with them. If you settle that debt with them, they're not going to be able to sell it, or they won't even want to pay the bureaus to actually. So
Again there you are. Okay,
Are you
so
still there?
yes,
We had a little
yes. So we
interruption.
lost you for
Okay.
a moment. We lost you for a moment. So I think we have another great question here. How long would a
All right.
derogatory credit? Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay.
It's just trying to
I'm
fix
back.
her.
Yes, and I can hear
All
you.
right, there you go. Another question is how long would a bad credit, or maybe she means a derogatory report, stay on your credit report?
Well, most of them it's 7 years. 7 years. So at late payments, collections, charge-offs, it's 7 years. That doesn't mean that the debt goes away when that 7 years is up. So a lot of companies will sell that debt, and the new collection agency may contact you to collect that debt. Um, but in some cases, for instance, bankruptcies, it can be 7 years or 10 years, depending on the type of bankruptcy and the state you're in.
Oh, okay. So what about, just say for example, you have excellent credit and then, for some reason you missed one 30-day late. How would that affect your general score?
Oh, man. Um, it can be devastating. I've actually had clients who had 820, 850 credit scores, and they had 20 years perfect, credit history. But they had one new late payment hit, and it really, really knocked them down under 700 points. So under
Wow.
700, yeah, just one late payment. So more recent credit history is also more relevant in formula. So if you have a brand new late payment, that hurts more than if it was 2 years old or 5 years old. So try not to get any new late payments if you have some plans to be buying a home.
So I consider that sort of like a wound, right? The fresher the cut, the more painful it is, and as time goes by, it affects you less and less until it completely heals. And to us, it's about 7 years, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's how I look at it. But and there's another question that we want to go through here is what do you do when there is negative reporting holding you back from qualifying or getting good terms on your mortgage? Help.
Yeah. Can you repeat the question one more time?
What do you do when there is negative reporting holding you back from qualifying or getting good terms on your mortgage?
Oh, yeah. So you would talk to Janice, and then she would probably have you talk to me. um,
That's what I do.
yeah, yeah, because yeah, if there is negative reporting, there are some options. Um, we'll discuss those options. It's very complicated. Sometimes it's a late payment, like a new late payment, as I mentioned. Every now and then they will, here's a bonus tip. They will give you a goodwill late payment deletion on those late payments. They might do that only 1 out of 6 times. Different companies have different policies around that. So you could try it. It doesn't hurt to try it. But that would be an option that we may recommend before you might have to go through a credit restoration program with a reputable company like us.
So here's something very relevant. You know how we are going through a COVID-19 crisis right now, and a lot of people are taking advantage of forbearance, both for their home mortgage and most likely their other revolving accounts as well too. I
Yeah.
don't know if you have facts or you have any information of how it's going to affect long term, but what are your thoughts on that?
So there's a lot going on with that right now. So the CARES Act was passed in March, late March on the 25th, and in the CARES Act they say that if your bank or creditor does have an agreement with you to hold payments for the time being, that they will grant that and not report you as late on your credit reports. However, if you do if they do continue to report that late payment, even though you had this agreement, by law, with the amendment, they should be enforcing that. Unfortunately, there's some confusion going on. So the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial statement saying that the credit bureaus and creditors did not have to honor that because they are overwhelmed and they, this and that. And it's like, wait a minute, you can't just all of a sudden not be adhering to laws that have been in place for 4 decades too. So there are a number of state officials that have, and territories officials that have pushed back on that, and basically saying that that is not legal for them to try to come back and say that creditors and the credit bureaus aren't responsible for these new laws. They are responsible for these new laws. And so we, as a credit repair company fighting for someone, would do our very best to enforce the law.
So essentially, they cannot report negative or derogatory for the time being, right? Do we have those dates? Do we have those months that it's considered that is still under CARES Act, or do they also give this 90 days, 180 days, up to 360 days? Is there a time frame?
Well, as far as your creditors are concerned, besides student loans, we can talk about that a little bit too, but it is an agreement that has to be made between you and your creditor. So it's not a set agreement over everyone. So if you are unable to make your payments on time, I highly recommend that you have a conversation with your creditor. There are a lot of creditors that are doing their best to keep good relations with their clients and are helping out during this difficult time. So I highly recommend having that discussion, letting them know where you are, and making arrangements with them. If you don't make those arrangements, they still can report you late. In fact, during the law also states that if you were late prior to the CARES Act being in effect, that you also are responsible for the continuing lates, even during COVID.
Wow. So what you would recommend is for the consumers, to also be checking their credit report at the moment and see if there's any inconsistencies, and maybe start talking to us, right? And make sure that it does not continue to happen, or it doesn't happen at all. Because a part of what you do is you do monitor these credit scores and credit reporting, correct?
Yes, actually, as a credit repair company, we legally cannot pull credit. However, we do have soft pull options that we recommend that are fairly close to FICO scoring models, like Identity IQ. That's one, but we actually have a deal with them. So if you would like to look into that, do get in contact with us, because we have a deal in place where they will give a very low cost to our clients and affiliates.
So it's really essential for everyone to be vigilant on what's going on with your credit, especially now. There's also a lot of scams going on, right? So
yeah.
What would you recommend for the consumers to be very careful with when it comes to credit scams?
Yeah. Well, let's see. There are some scams going on, but as far as their credit reports and monitoring them, I do recommend they continue that as much as possible. Um, there are a number of people who have been victims of identity theft during this crazy time as well. There are protections against that. All of the credit bureaus, each one of them, you can go to their specific websites and learn about their identity protection measures. You can have holds on your accounts. You would have to then, call or push a button on your app that is protected by your thumbprint and all of that to remove that freeze on your account. But those are available options to help protect yourself from any kind of fraudulent activity. If you are a victim of fraudulent activity, I would be directing you to identitytheft.gov to file a police report. And with that police report, it's a lot easier to be able to get that removed off of your credit report in disputing that activity.
So the sooner you do the police report, the better, correct?
Correct.
The moment you found out that somebody's been trying to you need to call prosecution file immediately, correct?
Yes, I would advise actually going to the website because it's just as good. It's fast. You can just go on to identitytheft.gov and it's very easy to do that there. And you don't have to wait. And especially during this time, you don't need to go to a police station, you know, so you can do it from the comfort and safety of your own home.
I think we also spoke about the people going in and trying to repair their own credit by going to the bureaus themselves, and they click on those what are they called, the terms of use,
Yeah, the
right?
terms and conditions.
And conditions, and you said to be very careful because once you click on stuff there, you are somehow giving up some of your rights to dispute. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So that is one of the things that is difficult. You're giving up some of your rights by clicking that. Also, they will only allow you to dispute it with the reason of this is not mine or this is not true. And that if it's a lie, it works against you when we're, trying to dispute under the guise of them following the laws that they are mandated by the Fair Credit Reporting Act to follow and its amendments. So I would advise against those types of disputes because you are also giving away some of your consumer rights and protections by clicking the terms and conditions on those pages.
I hope you guys got that because that was a very, very important piece of information. There's something that I really want us to share and talk about is the student loans. A lot of us, including myself, have student loans in their past, and it's kind of like a shadow following you around. Can you talk about that a little bit and what you offer? I think you have something, a program for that right now, right?
Yeah, so we actually offer complimentary consultations for people that do have student loans so that we can see what options are available for you in as far as repayment plans. The William D. Ford Act afforded a lot of people to have better repayment plans. And so there's a lot of options out there. And you may qualify for something, but your servicer's not going to tell you that you qualify for it because they don't want to lose your business because they don't offer it. So it is very important to go to someone trusted that can actually give you all of the true options that you have and also help you to navigate switching to those options. Now, there are specifics on what kind of repayment plans are better for certain types of mortgages too. So our student loan department, because we are basically servicing people who are getting ready for their mortgages, we are very versed in that. So we know what repayment plans would be best for certain types of mortgage loans so that you get the best terms on that as well.
Yes, and for those of you who are watching and are on their way to home buying, or you are on the home buying process, that's a very important piece of information. There are several ways that we calculate student loans in your debt to income ratios. So sometimes it could be very detrimental, because if you are on a payment plan with a whoever you have your student loan with, that these are not calculated as what you're paying $18 a month, right? But that's not how the lenders are calculating your debt. So it could turn out to be much more than that. And a little right now, especially with the COVID-19, every lender is tightening up their guidelines on the debt to income ratio, and they're not giving any more extensions, or they're not very lenient now. So say for example, we're at 40%. If you're 41%, no more loan for you. So that could just be your student loan that's hurting that and your ability to get that mortgage. So let's get that out of the way, save you
Yeah.
some trouble, right? And you never know. You might find a house that you want, and it's this that's holding you back from getting into that dream home of yours. So
Yeah.
that's the
Some
reason
things can
why
take, oh, I was going to say some things can take up to 60 days to get switched over. So it's very important
yeah.
to look at that ahead of time.
And this is why I host these types of education to the borrowers, for everyone who is in real estate, make consumer wise, lenders, LOs, to pay, please pay attention to these things. These are the things that are very, very important and could hurt you, really, really hurt you if you don't pay attention. So find a very good mortgage broker that can work with you and not just look at you like a number, because you're more than a number. You have a life story behind that number, and we don't say no just because we just see, this is what you look like on paper. So if there's something we can do, Crystal and I will take care of that. So yeah. And then this is why we're here for you. And Crystal, I want to talk about S the CSO, the Credit Services Organization. What
Yeah.
type of credit score guarantees do they offer?
Oh, so the CSO Credit Services Organization is actually the certification I was talking about earlier. As far as credit repair companies, that's a licensed and bonded organization that you want to find is part of that organization.
And coaching on building positive with specific circumstances in mind. Is that something
Right.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
very
So
important?
Yeah, so if you're going with a credit repair company that doesn't actually offer coaching with your specific circumstances in mind, and all they're trying to do is try to get you to have them work on your credit to remove through disputing, um, it's chances are they don't know what they're doing. Chances are that they're using some sort of form letters that aren't going to get very good results. Because remember what I said, the credit bureaus are being paid by the creditors to to report on their clients. So the credit bureaus want to keep their customer, the creditor, happy. So they're going to keep upping their game. They continue to, I mean, there's been even just this year several things that we've seen new that they're trying to get sneaky and go around, them try, go around the questions or the proof that we're demanding that they give to us. We're like, no, that's not going to work with us. We can see through that, and that's why it's also important that we see their answers. They legally have 30 to 45 days to answer. So the credit restoration program, since it's a legal process, and if you need credit assistance, you want to begin looking at that with at least 6 months before you're going to get your mortgage. If you're getting close, it's okay. We've had some clients that had only a few months or a couple of months, or even a client in escrow or two, actually more than that. But try not to wait till the last minute, because sometimes that sure, we can try to get you to the finish line, and we have done that for some clients within that short amount of time. But you want to make sure you have time for us to really dig deep and try to make as much headway on our end as possible, as well as the headway that I would recommend you make. It doesn't help if I've told you to maybe open a card, maybe a new credit card with that doesn't have a credit inquiry. We have resources like that, by the way. If it hasn't had a couple of on-time payments, and although we want to be able to make sure that you have maximized that 10% of the types of accounts you have open, if you've only got a couple months, that's too tight. It might not be something we can get, to help you at that point. Yeah.
We may be good, but we're not miracle workers.
Yeah.
So we are actually, my gosh, how time flew. We had such a great conversation and so much chunky, juicy tips here. We're down to our last few minutes, but hey, there's one last thing that I would like you to share to our viewers here is there anything someone can do if they just got one late payment by accident on their own? Accident or chance?
Yes, and I went over that earlier, actually. So just as a reminder, your bonus tip for the day: if you got a late payment with your card companies or your auto loan or whoever it may be, and it's an open account, and it's only maybe one or two in a row late payments, you can try calling your creditor, asking them if they could offer you a goodwill late payment deletion. You can either call it goodwill or good faith late payment deletion. A goodwill late payment deletion, and see if they say yes. Probably 5 out of 6 times they will not say yes. But that 1 out of 6 is worth the try.
You know what I always say to people that I mentor and the people that I advise is the only thing that you're gonna have is either a yes or no. There's no harm in trying. Just ask for it, and sometimes if you ask, you shall receive. But they're never gonna give it to you if you're not gonna ask, right? They're not gonna call you if they and then tell you.
Yeah, along that line, I want to make sure also that nobody's getting this one wrong. When you are calling to see if you can negotiate, removing a collection or a charge off of your credit report, try very hard. I know this is, I'm not telling you to lie, but try very hard to remember to say, I am not admitting this debt is mine. You're not lying by telling them that, but by not admitting the debt is yours, you don't run the risk of them reporting it with an updated date of last activity. That's the ending hint.
That's actually one of the biggest hard-hitting tips that you've gotten to share with us today. That's I don't know if people understand how big of a value this is, but Crystal, thank you so much for giving me an hour to speak to our people, to our friends and family here that we do care so much about. Because, hey, in America, whether you like it or not, you are your credit score. So
Yep.
it's very important. I mean, whether you believe it or not, it is something that could help you get successful, can help you get through ownership of your, American dream, your home, maybe investments, things of that nature. So this is so important, you guys. And the way to contact Crystal is you can either contact her directly, which is Crystal. You want to give them your information, or if you forget or you didn't take note of it, call me. We work together as partners. Well, we don't share commissions or anything like that. We don't do that. What we just want to do is to help you guys. So we will never get a charge from Regal, just so we're referring you to Crystal here. And so and likewise, what we do is we work together as a team. So and this
Yeah.
is for your own good. And just
Sometimes
that's
it
my.
takes a village.
I know, but you know what? That's just my full disclosure because people think, oh, she's gonna make money off of that. And no, guys, this is just what we do in order for a full circle to happen. We start getting your pre-qualification. If I see something that we could help with, maybe it's a 3 month thing, maybe it's a 3 year thing, right? But at the end of the day, we work together to get your home ownership dream possible. And hey, when you come across with a healthy, nice, credit score, you are somebody in America, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that you can do with that high credit score. People look at you differently. Believe it or not, it matters. So again, for people who logged in a little bit later, this broadcast will be available for you to watch in my timeline. I'm going to share it to Crystal on her timeline, whoever she wants to share it with, but it will be on FACCSLAA's timeline as well. And just in case you forget again, you can go to both of our YouTube channels for Janice Jimenez channel on YouTube, as well as the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of South Los Angeles area YouTube channel. This has been a service from our chamber and Regal to you. And thank you once again for Crystal for giving us 1 full hour plus some to share these incredible tips. And I really, really, really recommend for you guys to watch this over again. Take out the pen and paper and write everything that she had given you because this information is gold. So thank you again. And I'll hope we can have a part two of this conversation at some point, Crystal.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for watching. You want to say to our viewers?
Yes, thank you guys for trusting us to help you on your journey to being able to qualify for your mortgage. And if you'd like to contact me, you can actually reach me through Janice if you'd like. But our website, my number and email is on there as well. It's myfam.com, and that's with a double F.
Thank you so much, Crystal. And for everybody, have a blessed, oh, and a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.